Another nerd-stalgic. Why Jim Carrey is one of the only actors you can't replace. Yeah, like if you want him for a certain role, I don't know who else you could put. Like let's say you're making a script or a storyboard or whatever, and you have it in your mind that you want the main character to be like a Jim Carrey-esque individual. Who are you gonna find besides Jim Carrey to play it? There's not a whole lot of comedians that move like Jim.
You love me. You really love me.
This was Jim Carrey's The Mask.
They love me.
Why aren't you screwing with
And this is the son of a sucker mask.
my mind? Maybe I am just going crazy. Maybe I am just going.
And this is the pseudo-sequel completed without Carrey, Son of the Mask.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Head detective.
This was the 1994 film Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Who are you?
And it's the kid. Bruh, I've never seen this. I refuse. I refuse.
Ace Ventura Darrow Hudge Jr. Esquire, I represent the defendant.
And this was the 2009 atrocity Ace Ventura Jr. We could go on, but we'll refrain. In this modern
Would they even try to do his fucking Dumb and Dumber guy? What the hell? And
age of cinema,
oh yeah, Evan Almighty. But they really did try to put Steve Carell. And then they tried to put Brendan Fraser, and I gotta say that shit was just... I love Brendan Fraser, but what the fuck was that shit? What the fuck was that?
modern age of cinema where the idea of
That
the
shit
movie
was-
star has largely gone the way of the dodo, it's easy to forget the importance of star power at the center of a film that can often take a mediocre work on paper and elevate it to greatness. Perhaps no career embodies that power more than Jim Carrey. Carrey's movie career built franchises through his anarchic comedic persona, but when studios tried to revisit his iconic films without him, his absence would sink the project, proving him to be completely irreplaceable.
It is good to see what someone with real talent can do when great opportunities are given to them instead of me.
Cookie.
Jim Carrey's career began during the stand-up comedy explosion of the late 70s through the 80s. He worked his way through stand-up clubs, honing his act which contained numerous impressions of pop culture figures. His work gained the attention of the legendary Rodney Dangerfield, who often had Carrey perform as his opening act. Carrey's career would enter its next major phase when
Living.
he booked a regular cast member role on the hit sketch comedy series In Living Color. And this show would become the launching pad for the most important year of Carrey's career.
This is that was my introduction actually to Jim Carrey, was this, but I didn't remember him at all. I only remembered Marlon, I think.
Become the launching pad for the most important year of
But once I figured out, I think the first time I figured out who he was Ace Ventura.
Carrey's career. In February of 1994, Jim Carrey appeared in his first starring role, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. With
And then The
Carrey's
Mask.
star power completely unproven, the expectations for the film's box office earnings were extremely low. This made it all the more shocking when the movie raked in a whopping $107.2
Hot
million
damn.
on only a $15 million budget.
You've done some fine detective work, Ace.
Could you speak into my good ear? I thought I heard you call me Ace.
In July of that same year, The Mask debuted, and buoyed by the popularity of Ace Ventura, the film raked in $350 million worldwide. For perspective, this made The Mask the second most financially successful comic book movie of all time, just behind Tim Burton's Batman. Those back-to-back
Wait, The Mask is a comic book? You know, that makes sense. Just like the way the movie goes, the way the character acts. Yeah, it does have a very comic feel to it. I never really thought of that.
350 million worldwide. For perspective, this made The Mask the second most financially successful comic book movie of all time, just behind Tim Burton's Batman. Those back-to-back successes would be enough to launch any actor to the Hollywood stardom stratosphere.
Somebody stop me.
But
Bro, same year, you straight... That is pretty crazy. 107, almost 500 mil.
the run didn't end there. In December, Carrey closed the year out with one final mega hit,
Holy
Dumb and
shit.
Dumber. grossing $247 million worldwide.
He's crazy.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you totally redeem yourself!
With all these massive hits to his name, it's obvious that Hollywood would demand sequels to these proven beloved classics. However, Carrey has largely avoided them for most of his career. Currently, he has only appeared in 4 sequels. The reason for that lies in part with the production of Ace Ventura 2. The sequel was rushed into production at the same time that Carrey was experiencing his meteoric rise to stardom. With the pressures to meet high expectations, as well as numerous behind-the-scenes disagreements and production issues, the experience seemed to sour Carrey's entire perspective on any future potential sequels. On the topic, Carrey is quoted as saying, "I find sequels are a function of commerce for the most part, at least the 2 I've done. They were characters I enjoyed doing, but I did find myself almost parroting myself at that point." For Carrey, his success meant sequels were never really a necessity, and he understandably felt that many of them were an inevitable case of diminishing returns from the success of the original films.
I'm not a crazy sequel guy.
There have been 4 attempts to revitalize a Jim Carrey comedy without Carrey's involvement. The first was 2003's Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, a prequel to the original Dumb and Dumber that shares the origin of Harry and Lloyd's friendship. Stepping into
What the fuck? This is real? I ain't never heard of this shit.
Carrey's shoes as Lloyd Christmas is Eric Christian Olsen, who has the unenviable task of trying to match Carrey's comedic energy. Besides having a plain, unfunny script, the entire movie feels like a bunch of kids doing a series of impressions of their favorite movie rather than a genuine performance. It's a role that truly sets up any actor for failure because anyone can make an impression, but Carrey's ability to surprise and entertain is truly impossible to replicate.
Did you at least enjoy yourself?
No, it was a complete waste of time.
Fortunately, one lesson was learned from this failure. Don't expect anyone to play one of Carrey's iconic characters. The future Carrey sequel attempts did not bother to ask anyone to attempt to be Jim Carrey, but they still expected them to carry on films that he made iconic, inevitably inviting comparisons. In the films Ace Ventura Jr. and Son of the Mask both make the material much more family-friendly, and in the process provide a watered-down version of what was once a potent comedic brew. While there are certainly aspects of those original films that should be left in the past, these 2 films don't come anywhere near achieving the comedic heights as the original by being for kids.
This is the crappiest piece of crap in Craptown.
Even attempting to replace Jim Carrey with another beloved comedy
that shit
icon
is so
in the
bad.
film Evan Almighty proved to be an exercise in futility. While Steve Carell is certainly a beloved comedic actor, he doesn't have the same megawatt star power that Carrey had at his peak. Giving him a script that is more family-friendly once again took away what little comedic edge there was from the original film. Beyond their creative failures, all of these failed follow-ups had paltry financial earnings, especially compared to the box office juggernauts of Carrey's 1994 run.
That's just cruel. Do you see him? I don't see him.
All of this proves that the true IP power of these films was never the ideas or the characters. It was Carrey all along. Even Jim Carrey himself ultimately could not fully replicate his own success. 2014's Dumb and Dumber 2 was nowhere near the hit the original film was. The movie reunites both Carrey.
Now this movie was weird. I can't remember enjoying this movie like even slightly. I mean, Dumb and Dumber isn't my favorite Jim Carrey movie in general, but even like the first one, I'm like, yeah, that's got some fun parts to it. But the second one just felt so forced and weird. I fucking hated that shit. I didn't hate it. Wow. I wouldn't say I liked it either. It's just fucking meh.
And co-star Jeff Daniels, as well as the original writers and directors, the Farley brothers. But the comedic style that was once so shocking and unexpected to audiences had become stale. The film feels like a once great band struggling to perform their greatest hits. As Carrey himself predicted, these actors were unable to recapture the magic that made the original film great. Audiences had changed and evolved, but the comedy of Dumb and Dumber 2 stayed the same.
Wouldn't have been funny if I stopped too soon. Comedy's all about timing here.
Nowadays, Carrey, like most film actors, balances a variety of projects from indie films to prestige auteur television to mega franchise blockbusters, but does not diminish the fact that his name still holds value and any attempt.
Bro, we didn't even go we didn't even go into his best roles. Which, I wonder if his best roles are his most replaceable ones. Because my favorite Jim Carrey roles is Spotless, what is it? Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind or some shit. And then Yes Man, that's not my favorite, but I like the premise of that movie. I don't remember the movie, but like the idea and the premise of it, I like the idea of it. I don't know if I like the acting. I don't know if I like the story and shit. I don't remember. But I remember the premise is just saying yes to everything. That's cool. That's interesting. Truman and Man on the Moon, I think it is. Those are my favorite Jim Carrey performances ever. I wonder if those are replaceable. Because like with the mask and shit, I don't know who the fuck you could have put in this. I don't know. Like my mind is straight blank. Who has the same facial man, like, you know, body characteristics as this man? Who's moving like that? I don't fucking know.
To revive the brands he built won't be as successful without his name attached. Even when he is part of a franchise, like his role as Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog, the appeal of him returning to an over-the-top comedic role has doubtless been a factor in the success of both Sonic films.
The reality is, I surpassed everything you're ever going to do.
Although the world of film has changed, nothing can change the power of Carrey's film persona. The films needed him more than he needed the films, and that, more than anything, is the true sign of a movie star. What do you think? Is the death of the...
Man, I thought he was going to talk about Truman just a little bit. He didn't even talk about any of the movies I said. I don't think people think of those movies when they think Jim Carrey, though. They think of the funny stuff. Bro, I love those movies. Those are some of my favorite movies. Truman, Spotless, Man on Moon. Bro, he has so many good ones.
Movie star greatly exaggerated? Or is Carrey one of the last of a dying breed of actor? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe